WSAC News Channel 3 with Tim Ear, Brittany Hoke, and meteorologist Chelsea Ambrose. This is WSAC 10 o'clock.
Now at 10, left locked in the car to die. A great grandmother is now behind bars after a toddler died from being left in her hot car for hours.
Plus, all rise for Judge Judy. The judge will be in at South Charleston High School's graduation in a couple of weeks, all because of the essay one senior wrote. First tonight, breaking news in Kanawha County, where one person was killed in a crash.
Dispatchers say that a motorcycle and a car crashed just before 9 along Sissonville Drive right near Andover Lane. That road is expected to be closed for quite some time tonight. We do have a crew at that scene right now, so be sure to stay tuned at 11 and WSAZ.com for more updates as they become available. Also tonight, a baby left in a car for hours dies from that heat. The child's great-grandmother now, Carolyn Davis, has been charged in the death. This happened more than a month ago in Point Pleasant following an investigation. The medical examiner's office confirmed the child died of heat exposure. Andrew Colgrove shows us why police believe the woman left the little boy alone in the car to begin with.
7 hours. That's how long police say a 19-month-old boy was inside this car.
By the time we had found him, he had been dead for a while.
They say the victim's great-grandmother, Carolyn Davis, dropped off the boy's mother at work the morning of April 5th. She then drove back to her house on Lighthouse Lane, brought the victim's 4-year-old sister inside, but left the baby, Abel Stevens, strapped in his car seat.
You can imagine 19-month-old kid stuck in a car, no one there, screaming and crying.
Police say temperatures outside that day reached 81 degrees. They say the car was not parked anywhere near the shade. They say inside it would have been anywhere from 120 to 140 degrees. Investigators say Davis got back in the car that afternoon and drove back into town to pick the boy's mother up from work. They say at that point the child was already deceased.
Mom gets in the car and says, "What's wrong with my son?" And she goes to try to get him out, and he's stiff.
Police say the 67-year-old watched the kids 5 days a week, and she wasn't under the influence.
I'm sure it was an accident. We're assuming he may have been asleep that morning when she took him home, and she just left him in the car to sleep and forgot about him in there all day.
It doesn't take very long for a hot car to kill a kid.
Heading into the summer months, police say this is a tragic reminder of why children should never be left alone in a hot vehicle. Andrew Colgrove, WSAZ News Channel 3, Point Pleasant.
Davis is being held in the Gallia County Jail. She's awaiting an extradition hearing that could send her back to West Virginia.
Well, we have had a warm day across the area, and we're looking at temperatures to return back to where they were, if not a little bit warmer, as we go into tomorrow. So as we plan for tomorrow, we're looking at temperatures to start out in the low 60s and then warm nicely into those low 80s across the area. You can see here on our planner, if my graphics will load, there we go, that we have clouds that will roll through overnight tonight, and we could have a rumble of thunder overnight tonight, especially if you're north and east across the area. And then by tomorrow, we're looking at a line of storms to set up. We could have just a quick downpour by the afternoon. Temperatures, though, go back near that 80-degree mark overall. And so if we continue on, you can see that, well, maybe if my graphics are gonna go, my system has frozen, but this is your forecast for tomorrow, so I'll have more details and get that worked out in just a few minutes.
All right,
Understood.
Chelsea.
Thanks,
yes,
Chelsea.
Thank you. Well, as budget discussions are starting up in Washington, one of West Virginia's senators is now concerned about a change in funding.
Republican Senator Shelley Moore Capito says she has some real concerns related to the proposed cuts to the Office of National Drug Control Policy. In a letter to the budget office, Capito says there are talks cutting 95% of that budget, meaning it would just wipe out dollars going to coordinating efforts to fight the opioid epidemic, for example, in our region.
I mean, we need everybody working together from all different aspects, treatment, community, and law enforcement to fight this problem. So I'm asking the director of the OMB to say, rethink about cutting this. This can't stand.
President Trump is expected to present his budget to Congress on May 22nd. Senator Capito says she is working to get the funding proposal changed before the budget's announced. Every year, Chief Meteorologist Tony Cavalier travels to a couple schools in our region to do a profile on the best of class.
That's right, but on his trip this time to Lucasville, Ohio a few days ago, he learned that there is a sensitive subject being discussed at that school that isn't what you might think. Take a look.
There's a buzz around the Valley High hallways that has the Indians speaking out these days. Take Mr. Kaufman's Spanish class, where Cinco de Mayo turned into a fun exercise in Mexican history. But just as the high school curriculum has modernized, so too has the role of the faculty, as teachers have adapted to meet the challenges of the 21st century. In Mrs. Crabtree's senior English class, that means learning to use literary devices like simile and alliteration, all the while opening the eyes of her students to the stark world around them.
We use this nonfiction book and Dreamland. It is the true tale of America's opiate epidemic. I never dreamed when I started teaching over 15 years ago that I would be teaching a book such as this in my senior English class. It is brutal, and it is honesty, and it entails the heroin epidemic that is plaguing our area. And in the book, it actually talks about the high school that sits across the street from a maximum security prison. And we are that high school.
I like how it went through, like how it came from Mexico to here, how it affected literally everybody, even doctors, lawyers.
On lunch break, the sophomores engage in a frank roundtable discussion on the ravage of American society, wanton drug abuse.
There are kids also who have no idea and think maybe this is fun since everybody else is doing it, I should do it. If we had more of a educational way of learning about the negative parts of drugs, maybe less people would do it.
So on this cover of the book, Dreamland, is a picture that's downtown Portsmouth. That's listed right here, the business district, where, of course, they're having a terrible problem with opioids in Portsmouth, just as we are in so many towns and cities, Huntington, all across the region. And this book that was that Tony highlighted, that was in Tony's story by Sam Quinones, this author came to Marshall University a couple of years ago when the book first came out.
To talk about it, and you listened to it.
We interviewed him, and he had some very interesting things to say about not just the problem that's here, but it's a problem across the country,
everywhere,
as we all know. Yeah.
Very interesting. It's good to see that they're studying that so early in their schools, too.
Yeah.
You don't know what kind of thing that's putting in their head to stop it where it starts. Yeah. Well, a U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions will now be delivering opening remarks at a summit here in Charleston tomorrow. That event will be focused on the opioid epidemic and is part of the DEA's 360 strategy, an initiative that is only in place in a few cities. Those gathering will work to attack the epidemic from 3 points: diversion control, law enforcement, and community outreach. The event starts at 9 a.m. at the University of Charleston.
So they said, well, isn't he the mayor that left the party and didn't vote for the president? They said, well, I think so. Said, well, this is a closed event.
That was Charleston Mayor Danny Jones on his radio show this morning. He says that he was asked not to come to the event with Health and Human Services Director Tom Price yesterday. Price was in Charleston making a stop at the Capitol to talk about the drug epidemic, and then even stopping at Charleston Fire Station to talk with those first responders there. Now, Jones says that a member of the administration called his office asking him not to come because he had switched parties. WSAZ reached out to Mayor Jones today, but he declined to comment.
Voters heading to the polls next month for city elections could get a chance to use some new equipment. Today, Kanawha County's clerk Vera McCormick took the new voting machines to the Hansford Center in St. Albans. Residents were there to check them out and see how they work. The new system is designed to make marking ballots much simpler for voters.
They let us have enough of the new equipment that's for to come in so we could use it for the two municipalities, Dunbar and St. Albans, so we could get started on the equipment, see how it works and see how the public likes it.
The new system will be easier to read and count. They'll be back out in St. Albans for the City Council meeting on May 15th. St. Albans city elections are scheduled for June the 3rd. Anticipation for graduation day continues to build, especially with a celebrity set to send off one class of graduating seniors.
That's right. School leaders in South Charleston say that Judge Judy will be speaking at their commencement. And for the crowd control purposes, they are now giving out 6 tickets per student. They kind of cut it down there. But as News Channel 3's Nathan Nathan Takich explains some parents are concerned whether it might hurt their chances to attend the ceremony.
Whether it's on the ball field or at graduation,
we always have a big crowd.
South Charleston High School parents like Brian Quinn
Here we go, 1, 2.
have made supporting their students a springtime tradition.
Good pop, good pop.
But while supporting the bleachers hasn't changed, Brian's worried his family's ability to cheer his son to graduation may become limited.
Initially, I'm a little upset that we probably have at least 30 people to be wanting to come.
Historically, graduation at the Civic Center has been first come, first served for 5,000 seats. But with Judge Judy set to make this year's commencement speech, school leaders say they've decided to allot 6 tickets per student.
My goal was to protect the Black Eagle family.
Principal Michael Arbogast says each student can get up to 10 more tickets if they ask for them. He says the decision isn't about limiting the crowd.
That's certainly not the case at all.
It's about controlling it.
I want family to be there. And instead of having general public people who have nothing to do with South Charleston High School come in to get a glimpse of Judge Judy, and then the Civic Center people have to cut off admittance.
Arbogast says he's working with the Civic Center trying to get an extra 1,000 seats open, trying to make sure school families, even large ones like Brian's,
hopefully everything will work out okay,
will be able to fully support their students. Nathan Takich, WSAZ News Channel 3, South Charleston.
Nathan, thank you. And school officials say that they will be live streaming that graduation ceremony on their website and that anyone is welcome to view it. Well, getting ready to demolish the old Russell-Ironton Bridge. With the demolition slated for early next week, folks were at Ohio University Southern in Ironton learning about what they should expect. Construction crews told people who live in that area about all of the traffic delays and the noise that they can expect when that bridge is being torn down.
The company has done this, that's doing this for us has done this quite a bit. They're very professional, very experienced at this, and we really don't foresee anything coming up that should give anybody any concern, but we do want people to be aware of what's going to take place.
The blasting of the old bridge is expected to start on Monday, but crews say that is weather permitting.
Thursday at 6, WSAZ investigates a dangerous new trend that could shatter your child's innocence. You've heard of sexting and revenge porn, but you won't believe what law enforcement's talking about now. Is there a way to protect your child? WSAZ investigates Innocence Exposed. That's Thursday at 6 on News Channel 3. It could be James Bond's weapon of choice.
Still ahead, how a gun disguised as a smartphone could be hitting the streets very soon.
And we so far have had a calm night, a hot and humid one too. But we are starting to see some more storms pop and develop. Here's a look out of Charleston. You can see kind of that glow around the lights. We have some humidity out there. And so I'll detail what you can expect for the overnight hours and tomorrow still ahead.
This news segment is brought to you by